So one of the new features inside of Photoshop Elements 11 is actually, it's a sharpening tool. Okay, so if you come up here to the enhance menu, you'll go down here, you'll see there's unsharp mask and adjust sharpness. So there's sharpening filters that we have here. But if you look over in the toolbox, there's actually a tool that has been around for quite a while. Okay, and it's grouped in, you'll see the sharpening, it's grouped in with your blur tool and your smudge tool. It's the little triangle one. So you just come down here to the relocated tool options, which are down at the bottom now, and you can click on the sharpen tool. But here's what happened inside of Elements 11. They went in and they added this checkbox down here, protect detail. Okay, so the sharpen tool itself was never actually very good, but this because it was usually too strong and too heavy-handed. This protect detail setting actually makes it a more usable tool, and this actually came out in Photoshop first, the full version of Photoshop, and there's people from Adobe that have actually called this the best sharpening technology that exists inside of Photoshop, and now Photoshop Elements 11. Okay, so here's how it works. It's very, very simple. One of the reasons why I kind of like it, I'm going to duplicate the layer. I always make a duplicate copy. You'll see why in a second. Command J on the Mac, Control J on a PC, and we will zoom in to part of the photo here. Okay, I'll come down here to the rock. So let's say I want to make this rock sharper. So the sharpen tool's got two very simple settings. Keep protect detail on, and you've got a size and strength. I usually leave the strength right around the default, which is 50%. Let's get the size a little bit bigger so I don't have to do too much brushing. Somewhere around there. And then all you do is just paint. You just paint with it. It's actually hard to see it happen at first, but if I turn this top layer off, that's before, that's after. So I'll paint again, maybe make it a little bit sharper. Okay, gives it a second to think. Before, after. So you can see it sharpening it. And that to me is probably one of the times where I use sharpening the most, where I usually just want to apply it onto certain parts of the photo. Sometimes I'll come up here to the enhance menu and just apply an unsharp mask to the entire image, but a lot of times I end up applying that to the entire image on a separate layer and then using masks and everything to only go and brush it in. So this way I kind of get the best of both worlds. This way I'm able to do it all in one shot here. So again, we'll brush in on that rock. Maybe go one more time with it. And we'll come over here, and even the grass and everything, I'll make my brush a little bit larger with the right bracket key. I'll go over here and just brush on the right hand side. Okay, and then we can see here, and it takes a little bit of time. You'll see the little progress bar going there. That's one thing I found about it, is it does take a little bit of time. But you'll see here in a second, I'll go ahead and I'll turn this top layer off. So that's before, that's after. Take a look at the rock. Before, after. And here's the cool part, because if you're like me, when you're, and I hope you are like me, because you are one lucky person. Now, if you're like me, a lot of times when you're brushing, sometimes it's hard to get a feel for what it's going to look like. That's why I created that duplicate copy of the layer. Because now if I ever do think it's too much, I can always pull back the opacity a little bit. You can see that's before and that's after. So it's a really good way to go in there and just brush in sharpness on the parts of the photo that you want. You know, why would I apply sharpness to all this stuff over here? The reflection and all that. I don't really need that sharp. But I do want to make sure these rocks and the grass and the trees that are up front are nice and crisp. And the sharpen tool is a really good way to go in and to do that, just very specifically. Okay. Now let's switch gears to a different type of an image and show you where I use this all the time. Okay. So portraits, eyes. So many times, we have a portrait, something like this. I duplicate the layer. I'll zoom in. Okay, and this is low resolution, which is why it starts to get a little bit blurry here, but you can still see it. I'll just take my brush down to a smaller size. I'm just going to paint and paint. Okay, take a look. Before, after. If it's too much, lower the opacity. But this is a great place to sharpen. Any portrait that has the eyes in there like that, little details on clothes look really good sharpened, like the textures that you see over here. They look really good sharpened. Okay, come over here. Let's jump to a different photo. Okay, and again, zoom in. Oh, you know what? Let me duplicate my layer, Command or Control J, paint, and paint again. Take a look. Before, after. Look over at this one, before and then after. There's a lot of depth of field going on in this photo, so there's obviously a very low aperture that was used, but you can still go in there and sharpen some of those details, and it'll just make everything look nice and crisp in there. So once again, that's before and that's after. So, and this comes from Adobe, the best sharpening technology that exists inside of Photoshop, and now Photoshop Elements 11, your sharpening tool right here. If it's me, if I have the whole entire photo that I want to sharpen, I'll probably still come up here to the unsharp mask filter, duplicate the layer and apply it to the entire layer if I want everything sharpened. But if I'm in a situation like this where I don't want to sharpen everything, okay, I just want to sharpen certain parts of the photo, then I would come down here and I would use the sharpen tool because I get a whole lot more control.